Hi everybody, Jared Johnson here with Day Traders FX. Very lovely to be speaking with you this fine Monday afternoon. Today turned out to be a little bit of a bigger bank holiday than I remember. I guess this thing happens every year, this President's Day stuff. So anyways, we're not going to do a live session today. I'm just going to do the recording because I apparently am going to be away from my house and my office and my computers and everything for the last part of today on some holiday stuff. So I figured I wanted to get you guys a recording out today to show you some of the things that I'm watching this week and some of the big setups that I'm looking to take advantage of. We had a pretty great week last week. There were some great trades, and we have some more pretty excellent ones coming up this week. Remember, for anybody that is new to me, to Jared Johnson, to Day Traders FX, if you go to my website, daytradersfx.com, you can see that just right here on the main site here, if you click Get Started, it's free. That will take you to our Join page, and you can get a free trial. We have lots of live sessions this week. We'll be live tomorrow, morning and afternoon, and every day, morning and afternoon until Friday. So we have a lot of activity coming up, and we'd love to see you with us for a free trial to kind of see how we trade this and how we manage this. My whole method is based on trying to follow central banks and trying to follow where news is taking the market, while at the same time using technical analysis to identify entry points and exit points. And so that's kind of where we really take things. So one important part of that is looking at what news announcements we have this week. And this week we've seen quite a bit of stuff. The Eurogroup meeting has kind of come and gone, and we've seen a pretty big move on the euro since. We don't have too much news. I guess we have a little bit of news later this afternoon with Australia. Coming into Tuesday, some CPI numbers for the UK, Bank of Japan press conference. Be ready for some possible totally craziness there. We also have Swiss National Bank. Jordan is speaking. Be careful with that. We know what can happen with Switzerland and all of those details. Wednesday we have bank rate votes for the UK. It's a big deal. Employment numbers. That's a pretty big deal for the pound. So we're going to kind of see how that moves the UK pairs. We'll probably do our live session for the FOMC meeting minutes this week, which will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And then we have some retail sales numbers and so on going into Friday. So it's a pretty decent week as far as news goes. Nothing super major, but enough semi-big stuff. We have some central bank activity this week, which should get the markets moving. As you guys know, I love watching central banks and where they push the markets and all of that. So that's what we're going to be watching. Okay, so as you guys know, I have been pretty infamously short euro dollar. But I'm getting to the point where I don't want to be as short euro dollar anymore because of my 4-hour and my daily chart. 4-hour and daily charts are telling us, my indicator here that I love so much, is telling us that the euro dollar is getting pretty overextended on the sell side. So I'm getting very cautious about any more sell trades until certain things reset. And for some of these things to reset, we need like the 4-hour chart to get up around 115, 116 area. And the euro is really having a hard time getting up there. It's almost looking like we're ending up with more of a head and shoulders pattern here, with a neckline being just below 11300, which I think is a very real possibility. Ideally I would like to see this euro continue higher. You can see that we've got some trend lines and some details that are just kind of continuing to form, but things are not breaking so much. We had this big kind of double top right here, and then everything's just been lower and lower, a little spike up. Still, we have a great support area just below 11300. It's about 112, 70, 80 area that I'm really watching. If the market gets below that, if the euro dollar gets below that, then we're probably headed into at least into 11100 again, right around that area. So there's going to be 100 plus pips below about 112.75. Otherwise, I'd like to look for opportunities to sell rallies on euro dollar, but I'm really looking for this euro dollar to make its way up to 115.50 / 11600 before really starting to work its way back down again. So let's keep an eye on that. But let's be ready. Again, if we get below 11300, be ready to short this move down further into missed daily pivots of 111. 120.30 area, and so on. So I honestly don't plan on being heavily active euro dollar this week, but I am watching it pretty closely, and I'm going to see how it plays out with this whole setup here. Pound dollar, we have some pretty important UK news this week, so I'm kind of just holding tight on pound dollar for the moment. I don't really know where I see this thing going. We need to hear a little bit about how things play out with employment numbers and so on, and retail sales numbers. The pound dollar has broken out of a big long-term descending trend line, and I think we have a really good opportunity of this reaching our monthly pivot up here at 156.00 and above. I think there's a great possibility for that. One thing that I am looking at as well, though, is we have a pretty nice little rising wedge on this pound dollar right around this area here, so we can see that in play. And so I'm just really going to be cautious about this one. Ideally, I'll be looking probably more than anything to buy the dip on pound dollar this week. So if we get dips down around 153.00, which isn't super far away, I'll probably be buying that dip on pound dollar and looking for moves up into 156.00. But if we start breaking out of this rising wedge and start getting below some of this stuff here, I'm going to be pretty cautious about that. I don't really have a great feel for the pound dollar this week, so I'm kind of sitting tight on that one. Here's just a quick little update on one that I've talked about quite a bit. This is the Australian dollar, US dollar. One thing that I like here is we've had a bit of a double bottom, but the second dip here was a little higher than the last one. I think the Australian dollar is going to start surprising people just a little bit. I'm just looking for central bank confirmation that they're going to start to pull back from their major dovish tone that they've had, and I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to wait for that to happen. But so far, I'm looking for. I would strongly consider buying the Aussie dollar around 77.95, 7800 area, right around there, and looking for a move up to about 7900, 7925. We've got a nice cluster. We've got a 200 moving average and a nice cluster of pivots up here, and I think we could get a nice 125 or so pips. So basically, entries around 7800 I think are going to be great for the Aussie dollar, and I'm going to be looking for that kind of activity in that movement up there. So let's be ready for that. Let's watch that. Let's see where this whole thing goes, and be ready to get long Aussie dollar around 7800. Here's another one that I'm loving kind of a decent amount, and this is the dollar CAD. I actually really love trading the dollar CAD. Some people hate it, some people have bad experiences with it, and I just find that it actually behaves very, very well. I had some misconceptions about the dollar CAD early in my trading career, and I ended up missing out on a lot of really fantastic opportunities. And now that I kind of understand how it moves and that it really does follow the numbers, it follows central bank activity, it follows oil really well, and these are all things I've watched, but I just kind of didn't have the right angle on it, and now the dollar CAD is great. We in just a couple hours, right at the end of last week, we took a nice little 70 pip trade on dollar CAD, which was excellent. We got in right on this little spike up here and rode it down right to the low and just grabbed some great little profits. But now what I'm looking to see dollar CAD do is I'm looking for it to ultimately get back below about 123.70. If it gets below 123.70, I'm trading it to 122.70. I'm just looking for 100 pips. Again, it's not a huge move, but I think it'll be a good one. So 123.70 to 122.70 is going to be like a semi-guarantee that we're going to see probably very, very soon. If it ends up making a run up and we get some double tops and some even better activity up there, then I'll short the double tops. I'm starting. There's some good trend in play, and I do recognize that, but I'm starting to be very, very cautious about buying dollar CAD because of my personal homegrown indicator, which tells me that the dollar CAD has gone a lot further than it ever has without retracing more than it has. So I think this dollar CAD is getting pretty risky on trading with the trend right now, and we need to be looking for opportunities to sell rallies on the dollar CAD or to sell the break of this low, this 123.70 area. So I'm looking for both of those to happen. Again, I'll just trade this from 123.70 to about 122.60-70 area. Again, a quick 110 pips, nothing major, but should be a nice little profit runner, and we'll get some good stuff out of that. So be watching that dollar CAD. One of my personal favorites, and actually within my trade group, we are in profit on a buy, if that lets you know where we got in. It was a pretty excellent entry. We are in the Aussie New Zealand long already, and it's looking pretty good. Here's what we have to look at Aussie New Zealand, and if you're in the Aussie New Zealand and you're long and you're in profit, here's what I'm going to say to everybody. Lock in profit as soon as possible, because right now, so far, Australia versus New Zealand still has the strength factor over Australia for the moment. And that could change, that could flip, but for the moment, it's still stronger New Zealand than Australia. And so we have to be very, very cautious. But as you guys know, I've been talking about this so much, so much. And I've been talking about the fact that I want to buy the Australian-New Zealand pair off of these massive historic lows that go back years and years and years and go back to all time, basically. The last low dip we had was 1997, and that was a move down to 102.80 or so. And so that's why I've got my group in, and we're long, and we're already in profit once again, and it's looking pretty good. But we've got to be careful. I'm going to say that Australia versus New Zealand is not going to break these lows. We might see another 100 pips down. We might see 102.75, 102.50. But I just don't know if I see it going too much lower than that. And I think some of the Australian news that we have this week could be the catalyst to getting a little bit of strength on this Australian dollar. But we've got to wait till that news tells us that things are okay. But I am loving being long right now, Aussie, New Zealand, and I think it's going to be a great little mover and a great little trade. For those that aren't in yet, there's a couple of things that you can look for. You can see that we have a very nice little consolidation area right here that's about 103.85, not super far from current market price. That was the low of last week, and it kind of turned out to be the high of this week so far. So we start getting above that 103.85, and that could be yet another area to jump into this Aussie New Zealand. And it might just bounce around. We might get these little moves up, up into the weekly pivot and previous missed daily pivots. We might just get 50 and 100 pip chunks for the moment while it pulls back. But I just don't see, unless we have a really strong push in the central bank side of things, if Australia cuts rates again and New Zealand does not cut rates again, then we could see the Aussie New Zealand down around 1 to 1. But historic levels, all-time highs and all-time lows just don't usually break. They don't usually break. They're all-time highs and all-time lows for good reasons, because they hold and hold and hold. And the all-time low is down around this 102, 103 area of the Aussie New Zealand, and I'm looking for that to absolutely hold. Absolutely. So let's hang in here. Let's see how this one plays out. But we want to be long at as low of a price as possible and lock in profit as soon as possible. And we're looking for big moves higher on this pair. So it's playing out very nicely. I've got some other ones that I'm looking at this week. The dollar Mexican peso is looking pretty interesting. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of price patterns, and so we have a very nice rising wedge on this dollar peso pair. And so if this can start to break out and give us some moves, I'll be on that and I'll be ready for that, and I'll be looking for some moves down into some of these many missed pivot points. But that's looking good, and there's some other pound and Swiss franc pairs that I'm keeping an eye on, as well as yen pairs. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more as the week goes on. But for the moment, we're going to have a little bit of focus on the Aussie dollar and on the dollar CAD and on the Aussie New Zealand. And probably on the dollar peso, and then we'll kind of branch it out and take it from there. But we have some excellent setups. I'm really looking forward to this week. I hope to see you guys in the trade group with us this week, just for a free trial. It's an absolute no pressure free trial. You can go to daytradersfx.com/join, and we'd love to have you just try us out for a couple of days, see what you think. Best of luck, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Questions, comments, let me know. I'm happy to answer anything. You can catch me on Twitter at daytradersfx, or you can send me an email by just going to the website and clicking on contact. And again, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the details there. Have a wonderful week, everybody. I will keep you all updated with all the details. Take care and best of luck.